Released in 2007, Clever Kids, Pony World for the PlayStation 2, is a title that stands out not for its ingenuity or fun gameplay, but for its shockingly low quality, especially considering it hit the shelves a year after the PlayStation 3 had already made its debut. The game is a testament to the sharp decline in the quality of console releases that often occurs after the successor to a console is introduced. The PlayStation 2, a console known for its rich library of iconic titles and technological prowess for its time, deserved better than what Clever Kids, Pony World delivered.
Clever Kids, Pony World was developed by a small, relatively obscure development team with limited resources and experience. The game was published by Midas Interactive, a company notorious for tossing out low-budget, often poorly made games primarily targeted at children. Midas Interactive was infamous in the late 2000s for capitalizing on the longevity of older consoles, such as the PlayStation 2, by releasing budget titles that required minimal development effort. The team behind Clever Kids, Pony World likely had the best of intentions, aiming to create a light-hearted, educational experience for young children who had a fondness for ponies. However, this is the same studio, Gamerholics, who made Little Britain, the video game, so no, they're just shit wankers who make shit games and wanted to make a quick buck off of some pressed-for-time parents skimming the video game shelf at their local Tesco's.
Midas Interactive had established a reputation as a publisher focused on the budget gaming market, with a significant portion of its catalog consisting of games that would struggle to hold their own against more polished titles. Their strategy seemed to revolve around pumping out as many games as possible, regardless of quality, to fill a niche in the market for cheap, family-friendly titles. The result was a slew of games that felt more like hastily assembled flash games than fully fledged console titles.
Clever Kids, Pony World mostly resembles a point-and-click game, though describing it as such feels generous. The gameplay is extremely basic, reminiscent of early 2000s flash games found on educational websites. Rather than something that should have been deemed worthy of being printed on a disc, players navigate through a series of mini-games that include spot the difference puzzles, simple maths questions, jigsaw puzzles, and quizzes. While these activities are theoretically suitable for a young audience, the implementation is so bare bones that even children would likely lose interest quickly.
The game's content is so sparse that it barely qualifies as a video game. It is more akin to a virtual children's activity book, a comparison that, unfortunately, highlights its shortcomings rather than justifying its existence. The activities are repetitive, uninspired, and lacking in any meaningful challenge or engagement. This results in a product that feels like a terrible waste of plastic, as the disc contains barely enough content to justify its existence, let alone a purchase.
This game is a product of decline, a product of failure, a product of Tony Blair's United Kingdom. The release of Clever Kids, Pony World on the PlayStation 2 in the year of our Jigglypuff 2007, may I remind you, is emblematic of a sad trend that plagued the gaming industry for decades it seems at that point. The sharp decline in the quality of games released for a console after its successor hits the market. By 2007, the PlayStation 3 had been out for a year, and the focus of most developers had understandably shifted to the newer, more powerful hardware. However, rather than gracefully phasing out support for the PlayStation 2, some publishers chose to continue releasing games for the aging console, often with disastrous results.
The PlayStation 2, despite being the best-selling home console of all time, a landmark piece of hardware that let people watch Vanilla Sky however many times they damn well pleased, and also revolutionized gaming, and boasted one of the largest and most diverse game libraries of all time, saw its twilight years marred by a deluge of low-quality titles like Clever Kids, Pony World. These games, typically developed on a shoestring budget with minimal effort, would go on to diminish the legacy of the console that had once set the gold standard for gaming.
One of the most glaring issues with Clever Kids, Pony World is its graphics. The game features bad 2D animations that wouldn't have looked any worse on the original PlayStation. The art style is bland and uninspired, with the ponies and environments lacking any sort of detail or charm that might appeal to a young audience. The animations are stiff, the colors are dull, and the overall aesthetic feels cheap and lazy.
The entire game has the look and feel of a discount store puzzle book, a product that is designed to be as cheap as possible, with no thought given to the quality or enjoyment of the end user. The menus are clunky and unattractive, the sound effects are repetitive and annoying, and the music is forgettable at best. There is no creativity or passion evident in the game's presentation, which only serves to make the experience of playing it all the more disheartening.
Clever Kids, Pony World is a game that should never have been released. It is a title that epitomizes everything wrong with the budget gaming market. A product that exists not because it has any inherent value or quality, but because it was cheap to produce and could be sold at a low price to unsuspecting parents looking for something to keep their children occupied.
The game's lack of content, poor graphics, and uninspired gameplay make it one of the worst PS2 games that our human caregiver and sugar daddy has ever played. It is a title that does a disservice not only to the console it was released on but to the children it was supposedly designed for, even by the standards of educational games, which often prioritize learning over entertainment. Clever Kids, Pony World is a failure. It is neither fun nor educational, and its only real achievement is in demonstrating how far the standards for console gaming can fall when profit is prioritized over quality.
In conclusion, Clever Kids, Pony World is a relic of a time when the PlayStation 2 was being dragged through its final years by publishers looking to squeeze every last decimal of coin out of the aging console. It is a game that should be forgotten, a cautionary tale about the dangers of sacrificing quality for the sake of expediency. For anyone who loves the PlayStation 2 and the legacy it left behind, Clever Kids, Pony World is a painful reminder of how far a great console can fall when the industry is given the opportunity to move on, and does so with reckless abandon for $99.